Hey guys, I want to go ahead and do some problems on solving trig equations. Now, the thing about these is you're gonna have to use your algebra just along with you're using your trigonometry. So whenever you see these problems, you're solving. Just use your order of operations, undoing stuff. So we want to undo addition, subtraction. So we're gonna undo the -1. She's gonna go over. He's gonna be 2 sine of 3x equals +1. You can use the +1 on both sides if you want. Over here, remember 2 is next to the sign, so that's division. Okay. Well, I should say that means multiplication. The inverse is division. So you're left with sine of 3x is equal to 1/2. Okay. Well, we want to solve for x, so we want to get rid of the sign. So how do we do that? Well, we do sine of inverse. Okay. Sine inverse times sine of 3x, and I'm doing it the long way, but it's okay, just so you guys can get the hint of what's going on. So the sine inverse and the sine simplify each other out. You're left with 3x is equal to, what's a sine inverse of 1/2? Well, this is where you have to know your unit circle, okay? Now with your unit circle, you have to find the angle. At what angle is sine of 1/2? Okay, and if you recall, here's your unit circle. Look at your first angle, okay? And if you know your mnemonic, okay, here's the hand. 1/2, well, 1/2, this is your x, this is your 30, this is your 45, this is your 60, okay? And it's always over 2, so that's no problem. Cosine is the top, sine is the bottom. So where's 1/2? Okay, cosine is the top, sine is the bottom. So I want sine, so I want one finger in sine. So I'm going to bend this guy right here. And what happens? There's cosine, sine. Okay, so 1/2, or the square root of 1/2. What angle am I bending? What angle am I folding? Well, it's this guy. And this guy is a 30°, which is pi/6. So my answer is pi/6 right here. Okay. So after that, but where else do we have sine positive of 1/2? Well, remember, that's all students take calculus, or what I tell my students, all sin tacos. Okay. Well, I have pi/6 here. Right here, sine is positive. Right here, tangent is positive. Right here, cosine is positive. Well, if I know sine is positive here, well, that means this angle is also going to be a solution. Well, what's the angle measure here? Well, that's easy. 6 minus 1 is 5. It's 5 pi/6. So the two answers are pi/6 and 5 pi/6. Well, what do you do now? Well, you just divide by 3. Dividing by 3, guys, remember, it's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal, which is 1/3. So we're going to have pi/6 times 1/3 and 5 pi/6 times 1/3. Well, that's going to give me pi/18 and 5 pi/18. Okay? And that's it. So you have to know your unit circle. The algebra is pretty easy, but you have to know your unit circle. Let's go ahead and do another one real quickly. For this one here, I'm going to go ahead and bring the negative sign over so I can combine it. So when this negative crosses the equal, it becomes positive. So then I'm going to have 2 of those guys. 2 sine of x plus √2, and there's nothing on the right side. And that's just basic algebra. So then positive square root of 2, take them over to the right. Well, he becomes a negative square root of 2. Alright, then simple division, divide by 2. And if you know your unit circle, it should look familiar. Negative √2 over 2. Well, how do I get rid of this sign? I do the sine inverse. Sine inverse of √2 over 2, that's a negative. Okay, so I use my hand again. That's my x-axis, that's my y-axis. 30, 45, and then 60. Okay, so I know everything's over 2. Now I want sine to be √2 over 2. Okay, where's sine? Sine is the bottom, so I want 2 fingers in the bottom. That means I gotta bend this guy. So what angle am I bending? This is pi/4. Okay, so I'm bending pi/4. Okay, but if you notice right here, all the trig ratios are positive. I want a negative √2 over 2. See, right here, it doesn't work. Right here, sine is positive. I don't want those. What do I want? I want these two, because right here, tangent is positive, meaning that everything else is negative. Right here, cosine is positive. Everything else is negative. So I want negative root 2 over 2. So if I know right here is pi over 4 here, okay, well, what angle is over here? Well, that's simple. 4 plus 1 is 5. That's 5 pi over 4. Okay, well, which one's over here? Well, let's say you don't know that. Well, you do know this guy over here. If you go straight across, all you do is subtract. 4 minus 1, well, that's 3 pi over 4. If you go straight diagonal, 3 plus 4, oh, that's 7 pi over 4. So what are my two answers here? Well, my answers are 5 pi over 4 and 7 pi over 4. And that's it, guys. So hopefully that helps you out. It's using the algebra with the trig, but you have to know your unit circle. All right, guys, keep practicing. I'll talk to you guys later.